Hello and welcome to By Its Own. Today we have with us someone very special, Mr. Nidhir Bhargav. Welcome, sir. He is
Thank you.
an entrepreneur at heart and has about 13 years of experience in the information technology field and has done some notable work in the same field as well with different entrepreneurs. So let's go ahead and start our interview. Hello, sir. Once again, welcome to By Its Own.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead with our first question, which is first you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, how you started into this field. Yes, you could start with that.
Okay, so that would be a perfect question. I started in this field. Actually, uh, I'm one of those guys, just like stereotype, growing up in 90s and early 2000. The only two professions which were respectable and had good income was engineer and doctor, and I come from a family of doctors, so you know how that pressure is. Either
Yes.
you become a doctor or engineer, otherwise you're good, you're not good enough. So that's the way I got into it. Everybody back then, it was a boom in IT industry. When I was graduating, when I was in 12th, everybody was there was a lot of colleges coming up. So when I joined engineering college, there were like five engineering colleges, if I remember. Mine was fifth. I was the
Okay.
second student. And when I came back after being away for 5 6 years from India, I realized there were 40 engineering colleges. So I belong to that era where everybody was trying to get into engineering and become an engineer and get highly paid. So that's the way I got into it. A lot of people around me, a lot of peers were just getting jobs, and for me, I had few limiting beliefs about myself in that area, so I never wanted to join the job right away. So I went ahead and went to US to do my masters, and then I started working in US. So that's in a nutshell how I got into IT. That everybody was I was
Right.
just following the herd. I would say.
Okay. You also said that you come from a family of doctors. So how did your parents react to you not wanting to go in the same field as most of your family members?
Actually, it became natural because I did not want it to be a doctor. I'm very soft guy. Maybe that's why I don't like seeing. I mean, I know that doctors help. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They fix patients. But for me, it's a very intimidating task to actually do anything with blood. So
Right.
I was never able to see myself as a doctor.
But what about your parents? Did they have any opinion when you said that, oh, I do not want to go in this field? Or was there any pressure from their side that, हम डॉक्टर के फैमिली से हैं, so we would like you to go in the same field?
I mean, the only time pressure was the only pressure question was, what do you want as a child? That was too intimidating. I never knew that what I wanted. And to be honest, I still keep figuring it out. What do I want? So to all those people, I would want to say, to all those youngsters who are asked that question, what do you want? It's what do you want to do in future, rather than the question should be what you love doing in the present, and then just follow your heart and just keep doing what you love, and you will end up somewhere.
Absolutely. That's a very good piece of advice that you've given for everyone who is watching. My next question is, you said that you had gone to the UK to study, right?
Us.
The US, sorry. So, how big of a shift was it going from Indore? You were born and brought up in Indore, right? So, how
Right.
big of a shift was it to go from India to a completely new culture and new people, and also fit in because you have to do so much more than just study to sustain yourself? How was the experience? What is that one learning that you have taken from your travel and study from there, from their culture, that has still stuck with you?
If I was to just pen down one thing,
Yes.
uh, it's the either in in western culture, if somebody is doing something, it's generally what they want to do, not because of the family situation or cultural thing. People want to do. So
Right.
if there is a network engineer, he would be a subject matter expert. He would know in and out of that particular subject area.
Right.
In India, we are expected to do a bit of everything, so we end up doing that. So that's one learning. If you get specific, that's the best thing to have.
Right. Okay. And how do now, especially because you are working with Sistango, that is in London, how is it
I
different?
was, I
You was.
was.
Okay, sorry, I caught it as present. Um, if you don't mind me asking a question on that, how was their culture different from your culture now? Now that is a completely different work culture, right? When we're talking about the UK. So how did
No,
you
so
find the work
I was
culture?
not working. I was not working with people in UK.
Okay.
Sistango, I was representing India office.
Okay.
So I was working in India. But however, I have worked with UK clients when I
Right.
was part of CSC, which is
Right.
now DXC, and I did go on site for a couple of weeks. There was an office, Zurich Financials. I was there for, I believe, 3 4 years back. I represented DXC,
Right.
and the cultural shift, I would say, in UK.
Maybe in the work culture, any differences that you have seen? Just like you said, in the US, when you are a subject matter expert, you know everything just about that, and you're not expected to do a little more. So,
Uh,
is there any
so
other thing that you have caught?
so So in US, people
Right.
spend for convenience.
Right.
So they would value getting work. Their priority is to get the work done, not how you do it or how much time you spend on it. Obviously, it
Right.
has to be delivered on time. That's what
Absolutely.
every competitive market asks. But in UK, they would ask you to get it done, but at a low cost. So they have a very strong focus on how it is done, and it be done cheaper or something like that, I would say.
Okay. Okay. So my next question is: you have about 13 years of experience, which is quite a lot, at least in the information technology field. So what are your future plans? Do you, as you said, you still don't know, you're still finding your ground. So do you have a vision that you want to reach? Somewhere. Obviously, you want to reach somewhere, but is there like a goal set that this is the position I want to reach, or do you want to start something of your own and expand? Anything like that? If you could tell us a little bit.
So it keeps changing now. 3 4 years back, I was actually wanting to become get into a certain role.
Right.
Now where I am, I mean, I it keeps changing. So
Right.
at the moment, if you ask me, I'm trying to develop myself to a basically I'm trying to see how far I can take this,
Right.
how far I can develop myself, because that's the firm belief I have. It's you are the centerpiece here. So if you keep developing yourself, your skills, uh, you will reach points. And uh, if you ask me what the vision I have, is to impact as many as possible people with whatever experience and knowledge I have, to share whatever I can, uh, to so that a lot of people can achieve what they are after.
Okay. Wow.
So
That
with
that
this
is
experience, leverage my experience in order to help others. That's what I would say.
right. So you also work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So in that sense, do you see them having a similar kind of vision? Looking at the newer entrepreneurs who are just starting out, um, what kind of difference do you see from like them trying to establish something? Are they looking at more sustainability, or what kind of changes have you seen from the time you were there, from the time you had started until today?
So now a lot of so if you study all the startups which have gone big,
Right.
there was a reason beyond making money.
Absolutely.
somebody was trying to actually, uh, from his experience or her experience, trying to help solve a situation. And
Right.
that's why, because building a business or trying doing anything new, it takes a lot of courage, because you have to basically move beyond the mind space of being in a fearful situation, because that's where nothing grows. So any entrepreneur who's already into the game, so it's the way they say it is, entrepreneurship is the best program to test if somebody wants to test themselves, how far they can take it. Because it's like going on a war, and every
Right.
day that you might end up dying, but you still go every day. That's
Right.
what I heard. I believe this comes in. I heard this in Elon Musk, if
Learn.
I'm correct, that guy. So Elon Musk. So if I'm correct, so that's what I would. It's a you have to have a warrior mindset. Not a lot of people these days have that.
Right. That is quite important what you've said. It's quite um,
I
important that
mean,
people
because
understand. For example, like entrepreneurs today are always looking for inspiration from different places. And sir, as we can see, the lockdown itself has given rise to so many entrepreneurs, and India is also pushing the make in India, which I think is great. So do you have any ideas for your own entrepreneurial venture? Will we be seeing it soon? Anything about that?
I still think I'm a constant work in progress when it comes to entrepreneurship. So
Right.
this is actually my third try. I
Okay.
would say. Uh, I So this is my third try at it. First, I learned. I was very young. I had no idea I was what I was doing, what was cash flow, how to
Right.
build a team, what are the variables involved. Second time, it was, I believe, uh, it was still a learning curve, because I learned that there is always iteration, and the way you and that thing is still going. And with this one, I have come to a conclusion where I believe that you are the centerpiece. So it's how far you can take it. And I believe, what was your question? I think I lost it because of getting a phone call. I'm sorry.
No, no problem. Uh, do you need to pick it up? No problem.
No, 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 no.
Okay, no, that exactly. My question was that you have worked with so many entrepreneurs, and the lockdown has given rise to so many more businesses. So, will
Mhm.
we be seeing you having your own entrepreneurial venture anytime soon or in the future?
Yeah, so I am currently working on it. So
Okay,
it's in IT now.
okay,
For the first time, I've basically gone back to where my most of the experience is.
right,
And the biggest challenge I see
right,
today with Indian firms is a lot of CEOs who I meet. They have a big challenge, cultural challenge, where
okay,
they find it difficult to teams retain teams with the smaller group I have been involved in. Maybe it is just that I have been around such people, or I have not met across a lot of people who have. So now, but this particular venture is more about, can I develop a team and a culture in IT where you basically add as much as value to the client that
okay,
they become a raving fan. So, you know, now the aim is to, whoever I work with,
right.
they we fall in love with them, uh, rather than our service or our product. So it's all
Okay.
about building a
A team.
culture where a team where we focus is on client, what they need, what they want.
Okay. So how do you, when you talk about this culture, what exactly are you talking about? Is it your values, your motto? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. So what I think is, in today era with so much information,
Right.
uh, it's hard to be human. And being having said that, it's difficult to stay present in the moment, because everything is coming at us. Somebody wants something. We actually somebody made mobile phones, and now we most of us are slaves to that device, and
Absolutely.
we don't actually understand the needs, the people who I work with or who people work with. uh, and I'm part of now a team where basically we are more aware of what our clients, what our resources, what our team wants,
Okay.
and basically try to fulfill their needs, and then work with like-minded people.
Okay, so now when you're looking at your team, what kind of traits do you look um, in a person who you would want to be a part of your team?
I mean, there is no specific trait, because
Right.
everybody is different.
Absolutely.
Everybody brings another strength to to the team.
Right.
So somebody is a good manager. Somebody would build a new service. Somebody would like to solve a good challenge. Always looking for new challenges. So that's what a team formulation and building is all about, that finding the
Absolutely.
right pieces, right people, putting in them in the right places so that they can perform. And that's what I have done in last few years, and that's what I'm trying to do again. It is just that whatever new learnings I have, I try to
Right.
implement them and constantly learn that okay, this was I was doing wrong maybe a couple of years back. So so it's like a playground. You basically learn from
Absolutely.
your mistakes and then go from there.
Right. Just like you said that it is your third attempt now. So, what has been your biggest learning from your failure that you have gotten? Because to fall down and pick yourself back up and start again, it as you
There is
said
no
before, it
failure.
takes quite of courage.
There's nothing. There's not no such thing as failure.
Okay.
There's no such thing as failure. You only fail when you cease when you don't try again,
Right.
when you don't learn. So now it's more to do with keep learning, and you should have basically everything. An entrepreneurship is what, like anybody who's trying to become an entrepreneur is trying to basically experience some emotions which
Right.
he or she thinks will give him once he gets there. So somebody would say, I want to have a, they would value, they believe that entrepreneurship is freedom. So they don't want to work for somebody, so they want to work for themselves,
Yes.
right? So that's
Yes.
freedom is the emotion they are after. If you understand that, that's a lot of power.
Absolutely. Which is right. So, what I'm sure there are few people who must be watching who want to become entrepreneurs or who are already on that path. So do you have any tips for them or something from your learnings that you can impart to them and just help our upcoming
First,
entrepreneurs?
first, don't be too hard on yourself. You will fail, as they say. You fail. You get down, get a pen and a paper, write down what went wrong. Get a peer group, people moving in the same direction, being in the same space. So somebody is trying to open a gym, you need to surround yourself people who have already done it, who are trying to do it, and keeping making sure that you are in the right group. Get a mentor or a coach. That is very important. Somebody who knows, and don't beat yourself up that I'll fail. That's because that and another thing is complexity kills execution. So people make it so complex. Break it down, chunk it down, get it in step by step steps. So for example, if you're trying to build a software company, do not think that okay, I want a 500 people company. The first step is get a client. As simple as that. You can serve a client yourself and you can start a company. Don't think make it too complex than it is. Just chunk it down and go from there. A lot of people want to have a perfect plan. There's no perfect plan. There
Absolutely.
is always a destination you're trying to end up. Plan can change on the way. You just have to constantly. It's like uh, being on the boat, and adjusting your sail according to the wind
Okay.
and getting to your destination.
That is quite some golden words that you've given there, and hopefully it will help a lot of people as well. My next question is,
Because
yeah,
I would say as a child I always wanted to own a gym.
okay,
Um, then at initially I wanted to be I used to see these wrestling matches and I wanted to be like them, want to be
okay,
a wrestler. Then it started. I realized that I loved fitness, so I wanted a gym. Then I went ahead in my journey in my life. I realized, okay, I like helping people. So going from there, what emotion I was trying to, what I love is bringing the best in people out. That's what I specialize in.
right.
So, and that is where I thrive, and that is what I enjoy, which satisfies me. So basically, for me, it was always creating 0 to 1 and helping people do that. That's what I love, and that's what I love working with entrepreneurs, because it's just that those emotions which you experiences, the highs and the lows, those that is what I enjoy.
Right, that is amazing. So, are you still into fitness, or do you still follow
Yes,
it?
yes, I
What, can
do.
you tell us a little bit more about that, and probably give us some tips again, so people who are into fitness can also, get some positives out of it.
So so I do follow. So life mastery. There is a Tony Robbins. If you go online and type, so he talks about life mastery and the pyramid of life. And
Okay,
pyramid of life, anything you do, what is the basic thing you need is energy.
right,
So first comes health, which is your physical body, not having any disease. So if somebody is like 90 kgs and trying to build a business, and somebody who's fit 70 kgs full of energy, what do you think? What is the chances that who would follow through on their goals? Who has a better chance of doing that?
the one with 70 kg, I believe.
Yes. So if you eat right, that's the first thing. And I think this is even in our culture, in Indian culture, they say ahar. Ahar is the most important thing. Second is first is workout every day. Meditate for 15 minutes. That's the have a morning ritual. That is the first thing I would say. Have a morning ritual. Follow before you start your day. Have your outcomes defined. As simple as that. Three things you would consider if you are able to do today. You would consider that day as success. Write them down. Meditate for 15 minutes, because that would set you up right. Move, emotion, anything, anytime you're feeling sad, down, lethargic, just get up and move. Have you guys, if you have ever thought about this, if you're depressed, if you go for a 15-minute jog, and then just sit and realize how that feels. So it brings me to the second point: managing your own state. That is the biggest an entrepreneur can have. So that's one learning, because as an entrepreneur you will have to get a lot of things done. And if you want to get things done, you cannot do it in a depressed state. You have to be in a state where you are unstoppable. And when you and how do you get into that state? That is with your diet. You can't eat burgers and Cheetos every day and feel like you're a rock star. So you
Right.
have to get those two things in place. Meditate would help you calm yourself down, which is very much needed. As I said, being present in the moment, understanding what people around you need, because you need a team. An entrepreneur is no good without a team. So observing what my coworkers need, what their needs are, and then delivering them what they need, so that they can do what you have hired them for.
Right, right.
In a nutshell, because most of us end up focusing on the top 3 4 things in the pyramid, which is finance and career. But the base is your body, your mind,
Then
your relationships, and then everything else comes in. So focus on the right things.
this
That's what.
sounds like the Maslow's hierarchy pyramid. I think there's a similar pyramid called Maslow's hierarchy, which is in psychology, the hierarchy of needs. I believe it is one of the same. People can check it out if they'd like to. Um,
Yes,
when you're an entrepreneur, and you also said that fitness is your passion, so how then you
right.
then define your time for your professional life and your personal life? How do
You
you
gotta
how
make
do you find that
you.
balance?
See, you it go for me. It's been sometimes, to be honest. I'll be very brutally honest. I've been 90 kgs. Then I have dropped 18 kgs in 4 months. Then since last lockdown, I have gained another 10 kgs. So, pressures of life, having family, having work pressure, lockdown, not being able to go to the gym.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's the identity you attach yourself with, because you will stay consistent with your identity. So if somebody is going to say, I'm an alcoholic, soon you will go back to drinking. So think consciously what you attach yourself to identity. Sometimes as children, or as we grow up, we don't even realize we attach our identities to who we stay with most of the time. So if you are hanging out with people who are uh, who are alcoholic, you will end up an alcoholic, they say. So
Right.
so I was fortunate enough that I had friends who actually gave me dumbbells in front instead of alcohol bottles. So I would like to thank those friends who actually got me into fitness setting, and I just got hooked. So
Right.
surround yourself with the right people. That's very, very key factor too.
Yes, but how do you balance your own personal life along with your professional life? Because being an entrepreneur, when you say have your own venture or you're starting something of your own, it does need a lot of your time, right? How then you then make that division that okay, this much is for my work and the rest is for my family. Um, because as I say, when you start this venture, it is your baby, so you have to give a lot of your time and energy to it as well. So how do you then balance between the two?
So, as I said, understanding the importance that this is for a purpose,
Right.
you will end up getting up 1 hour earlier. So these days I'm getting up at around 6:30, because
Okay.
I know that I need a 2 hour headway before I can start my day. So I am generally up about 7 o'clock is my go time. Once I start my day at 7, generally by 9:30 I'm done with all the meditation, either cycling. Right now I'm doing cycling.
Okay.
Uh, then whatever needs to be done, plan your day, and then basically by 11 you can start working. So if you're trying to work between 11 to night, which I end up doing sometimes till 11 p.m.
Okay.
So so from 7 to 11 p.m., so you have enough time, as they say. I You can do a lot of things if you have the energy, right?
Right.
That's what I would say. So focus on the right things, have
Absolutely.
more energy.
Okay. How has the lockdown changed things for you, personally or professionally? Because it has been quite a big shift for a lot of people. So has it impacted you in a positive way or in a negative way, or it's a mix of both? And if you could tell us a little about that.
So it has been up and down. There have been days where I also, because I'm an activity guy. I
Right.
I cannot stay home. I cannot sit. I have to do something. And for
Right.
me, that the biggest challenge was to stay home. And we all need variety as humans,
Right.
meeting new people. So staying inside has been the biggest challenge. But that was last March. After that, we moved
Right.
on, and but psychologically, yes, it was tough doing things, not meeting people who you meet, because I like meeting people, and that's what, as I said, most of the work is with people. So
Right.
not having to physically meet people, and those communication, that was the hardest part for me.
Okay. And how did you overcome all of these little barriers that were there? I mean, psychologically, especially, how did you overcome it? Or did you do anything to, make yourself feel better? Say, like yoga and
Sch-
fitness again,
Schedule,
schedule.
schedule, 100%. You there is a block time for everything. You have
Right.
to work out, means you have to work out. You have to eat on certain time, sleep on certain time, and that's that. Then you become, sometimes you become certainty freak too, but
Right.
that's the way it is, because you want to sleep at 11 so that you can get up at 6 o'clock and get your workout done. So it's been with not going to the gym is something I miss badly, and these
Okay.
guys keep closing it down, so I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yes, it's quite
But yeah,
addictive.
but yes, to deal with it, just keep going for walks, do whatever physically you can, eat right, and do something. Pick up new skills. I was reading a lot, uh,
Okay.
reading a lot with the extra time, and then that's what I did.
Okay. That's interesting. That definitely shows that you actually kept yourself active and not just,
and
thought
and
about,
I
oh, it's long
started
term.
and
Right.
back in June I started another venture. So
Okay.
that was the first thing I did actually.
Could you please tell us a little bit
So
more about that?
so I mean, post lockdown there was
Right.
a shortage in poultry industry,
Right.
and when I started reading that and this is something I would like to share. So we've been sold that eggs are healthy, right? Everybody
Yes.
eats eggs these days, most of us. So I started researching, and I was shocked with the poultry industry, what they do. So there are drugs which are given to chickens so that they grow faster. And
Okay.
those drugs are generally given to patients who are terminally ill, no medicine is working.
Okay.
That's when those drugs are given. So we are consuming that, and our children are consuming that. And that actually, that this is where I saw the market gap, that nobody is here who's nobody at that scale where people are delivering free range, no antibiotic poultry at your home, because I'm a big non-veg guy. So that's what
Okay.
I would say. So I and there was multi-purpose. So when on my when I used to run outside of the city. I don't train inside of the city. I generally train outside of the city. So I met a gentleman who was like 60, 70 years old, and he was having those desi chicken, and that is
Okay.
where that idea was born. Like, why not get people, these poor guy gets value for his money, and we deliver chicken.
Right.
And that's what and I was actually looking for a new, and I'm always looking for new things to do. And
Right.
that's why, that's the way I keep myself busy. I was like, okay, so here is, I have people who want to sell, uh, who are actually rearing healthy meat, and there are people in the market who want to eat healthy.
Yes.
And after post lockdown, everybody seems to be focusing on eating healthy. so
Absolutely.
that that is where I actually got involved. I went to few uh, so it was back then, I was also considering forming an NGO where basically
Okay.
you can have an e-commerce platform where you can sell chicken and home delivered chicken.
Right.
So that was so I formulated a team. We got three people got together. Unfortunately, now we are not working together.
Okay.
I'm the only guy left in this one, and it was free range desi chicken delivered at home. That's what I was doing last. So this is a seasonal thing. I think believes in
Okay.
winter. A lot of people eat it. So that's what
So
I did to keep myself busy in
that
lockdown.
that is amazing. Like you started a new venture only. Um, but how did you then sell this idea to people? And I don't think convincing would have been a problem. But when you have a negative connotation like that, where you have to tell people like, okay, your chicken is adulterated or your food is adulterated, you have to make them believe that your chicken is not the same. You're doing something different. So how do you then make? How do you then create that belief among people or let them trust you? How do you communicate that through your brand?
So this was the first iteration.
Right.
First iteration. It becomes simple because if you know about poultry industry, broiler chicken generally grows in 45 days. On another, on if you're eating desi chicken, it takes about 5 to 6 months to grow up.
Okay.
So So, and another built-in confidence was, which we had was, I mean, I put everything on social media, what I was feeding them,
Right.
what how we were keeping them. They were free range, so I actually made few chicken runs in lockdown,
Right. Okay.
and I was, and that was the fun part, actually learning new things. So it's fun, when you think something and it
And
becomes
it
a reality.
absolutely. Uh,
Unfortunately, I was not able to keep up with that one because of the bandwidth issues, but
okay.
I'm still considering doing it again.
Yeah. I hope it works out for you, and it is pretty interesting that you have started something like that. If you'd like to share links with us about your venture, you can surely do that. We'll put it up on our page
Yeah.
as well. And so this has been quite a fruitful interview, and we are nearing our last question, which is how do you measure your success?
I don't believe in success. I believe in fulfillment. So a lot of that's all. That's the only thing. So I look at it this way. If I was to leave everybody with a note. Uh,
Right?
so we all have human needs, which are six human needs, which are psychology. If anybody knows anything about psychology, there are six human needs, and one, I'll just share them. One, certainty. Certainty is a base level certainty that, which is called as confidence, or a certainty that you're standing on a roof and it will hold. So our mind needs that. God created certainty and he played with us and he gave us uncertainty. Uncertainty is the need of the mind, where you need variety. So if you're locked down, and if you are conscious that your mind is seeking uncertainty, variety, because you've been locked inside a room, that's uncertainty. You need variety. So third, love and connection.
Right.
Love and connection is, everybody knows, I don't need to explain it. Fourth is significance, how special you are. Somebody feels special by having a good physique. Somebody feels special by owning a company. Some people feel special. We all meet our needs.
Right.
Fifth and sixth need, which generally lies, which are the fulfillment needs, which is growth, growth, which is a human need, which is a
Right.
mind need. We need to grow and contribute. So if you just focus on four needs, you will be successful. You might end up making a lot of money. But if you focus on the two, growth and contribution,
Right.
you'll be successful and fulfilled. So try that, because a lot of people in this world are now running after money, but that's what not, because you are thinking that money will give me XYZ, but at the end of the day you will end up saying, okay, now I wanted this much and I have it, but is this all there it is to be? So if you focus on the two needs, which is growth and contribution, you even if you don't make money, you'll be happy. And I think everybody wants to be happy, not successful.
Wow. So absolutely. Um, the entire interview, you have given us such positivity, and I think to end on such a good note. I mean, we would love to have more chats with you in the future as well. It has been quite fruitful, as I said. And as you said, from your perspective, there is no failure or success. It is more about fulfillment, about what you learn, and about your growth. And I think that's what we will take with us from this interview. So thank you so much for being a part of this and talking to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.